I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is he online?
There he is. It's coming in.
All right. For the record, everybody is present. Is Terry going to be iPad also? Councilwoman McManaman and Councilman Dufresne will be at our meeting by Zoom. At this time, if anyone has a personal appeal, please approach the podium and you have 5 minutes for your appeal. Good evening.
Dick Farmer, president of the Friends of the 1803 House.
Hello.
And with me also tonight is Gene Clark, who is president of the Canals Homestead. The two of us, the two organizations, have collaborated again to put on a celebration on July 31st, starting at 5:30. And we have a small exhibit for you to look at, and you'll see what the details are. But what we're doing is celebrating the founding of our town in 1747 on July 30th. This event is on July 31st this year. We almost made it to the 30th, but it's official. We have an extensive program planned for that evening, and we invite everybody in the borough to attend. That would be a dream. It includes a nice dinner, music, a presentation on Pennsylvania pioneers by Joshua Fink from the Lehigh County Historical Society. We're really celebrating the coincidence of these two neighbors that lived in Emmaus in 1747. Their land, coincidentally, was adjoining. Earnhardt had 45 acres, Canals had 50. So they almost 100 acres was the core of our town. I have another exhibit there that shows what the core was. This afternoon, I was thinking that this should be known as the Little Apple. The land that Earnhardt and Canals donated really started the town off. It did not get its name until 1761. But things happened, and in that one exhibit, you can see how the apple grew. There are dates of the land acquired for the borough of Emmaus. So we like to educate the people that attend that dinner about how neat our town is and how it evolves. We also have music, a harp and guitar. It should be one of the best evenings in Emmaus. Last year, as a placemat, we provided a map of Emmaus, and I gave you a copy of that. What's unique about that is you can still find the boundaries of the core of Emmaus by walking the streets of our town. The streets, the boundaries are 4th Street, Green Street, 2nd Street, North Street, Lines Lane, Railroad Street, and Minor Street. They still exist, and we can identify where the town started. The one street I don't have identified is Brunner Street. That's the little street that goes in front of the gift shop, right where Fourth
Yep.
meets the triangle. What's interesting about looking at old maps, Emmaus always had a triangle. We're on like two different grids. So the triangle has been forever. So I hope you can attend that evening. It'll be a very pleasant event. I think Gene Clark may have some words.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. I always enjoy hearing history of the borough. I learned a little bit more. I didn't know there was two properties, 45 acres and 50 acres, so I learned something already.
Really interesting.
Hi, my name is Gene Clark. Just to reiterate that land was donated to the Emmaus Moravian Church. That's how the borough got started. But we invite you to attend. You can buy tickets online at Eventbrite, or you can pick them up at South Mountain Cycles. Tickets are available now. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any other personal appeals? Hearing of none here, we'll check our virtual guests if anybody has an appeal. All right, our virtual guests are unmuted. If you have an appeal, just speak up and state your name and what your appeal is. Hearing none, we'll let Shane mute our virtual guest again. And that leads us to Community Minute. If anybody has a Community Minute to bring forward. We have another month until our next meeting, so if anybody wants to promote something or talk about something that happened in the last month. Councilwoman Baumgartner.
I just want to say that the concerts in the park are ongoing, and we also have concerts in the Triangle on Friday. The next concert in the park is July 25th, and it'll be the Large Flower Head. So encourage everyone to attend that free event.
And if council members are able to attend to help, they would greatly appreciate it. That's usually the biggest one of the year. This Sunday.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else with a Community Minute? Hearing none. Do we have a special presentation? None?
I do not.
All right, reading of the minutes. We have the June 2021, the 21st meeting minutes. Does anybody have anything to bring forward there? Motion? Councilwoman Baumgartner, seconded by Councilman Balliet. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Communications, we have the Canals Homestead, the Peach Festival request. That is, I'll give you the date. The date is August 21st, 11 to 4. I'm going to refer that to staff. Friends of the 1803 House, Passport to History Lehigh Valley request. The date of that is August 14th. The week before, 8 to 4. I'm going to refer that to staff. We got a letter from the Emmaus Veterans Committee thanking us for the support of the Memorial Day Parade and events. Emmaus Halloween Committee, it's that time of the year where they're requesting dates for Borough Hall's conference room and requesting the dates for the parade. The parade dates are Saturday, October 16th, and the rain date is October 17th. And I'm going to refer that to staff because is that not our 100th?
Yeah, this is the big one.
This is the big one, they say.
So they're trying to plan some very special things, and I think that CRD, we should probably have some conversations here moving forward, see what kind of support we can offer for this one, especially this one.
All right, we have a request for a block party to close down George Street between North Sixth and North Moyer on August 21st. I'll refer that to Madam Mayor. Holistic Solutions Community Event Forum, they have a grand opening August 1st. They're in the East Penn Plaza, and because of that, really the borough has no, we can't reserve parking spaces or anything, so I'll have Shane contact them and let them know they have to be in touch with their landlord, I guess.
Yeah.
We received a letter from Fifth Street Cross. That's our cyclocross up at the Compost Recycling Center. It's a yearly event, and I'll refer that to staff. They pay a fee, like renting a field, and I believe we received $490 for the season. And then we received a letter from PPL with the proposed contract for the LED street light conversion, which we voted on last meeting. I don't know if we're ready to move forward or not, or if it's going to committee.
We're not, Attorney Demick gave me his review, but I would say we'll take it over to the Public Works Committee.
All right, so we'll be ready for next meeting then. Anybody else have a communication to bring forward? Hearing none, Borough Engineers Report.
I'm sorry, we have something on our desk. It looks like
Okay.
here, from Mike Bailey.
All right. I am writing this letter regarding the unnamed creek between Elm Street and George Street and along Wenner Street. Please stop removing the natural fauna around the creek. This is the only section of the creek that is maintained and has led to faster and faster degradation of the creek bed, allowing it to spill its banks more frequently. The bridges themselves are not sufficient for the amount of water that passes through them. We have now seen twice in the past 3 years, the water become backed up underneath the Elm Street Bridge, flooding Elm Street, and as a result, flooding the homes along the creek through to Harrison Street. Please give immediate consideration to remediating the bridges and walkways that pass over the creek. These have deteriorated significantly as this problem becomes worse. It is my understanding that the borough has acknowledged elsewhere that there are issues with the waterways in Emmaus. Please give immediate consideration to remediating this situation as well. There are a number of homes and lives that are continuously affected by this situation and will continue to be affected as it is neglected further. I would be glad to discuss or elaborate the issues we've seen over the previous years, and it has contact information. Mike Bailey, 5 East Elm Street. So we'll enter that into the record, and I guess I'll direct that to the Public Works Committee and see if maybe we can give them a response. Anybody else with the communication? All right, hearing none. Borough Engineers Report. Progress.
Just report progress.
Thank you. Solicitors Report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two brief things. Act 50 was passed by the legislature on June 30th. It deals extensively with the 5G wireless, and they are giving us 60 days to produce an ordinance in conformance with that.
Okay, can you speak louder? I'm seeing Chris give a thumbs up, meaning speaking louder. Chris, is that right?
Okay, 5G statute requires, it doesn't require, but allows us to do certain things by ordinance. I will be working on that, and hopefully we'll have it done fairly promptly. Another thing that, in the change in the law that was handed down is on your agenda. I guess many of you are familiar with it, but as a practical matter, by the end of August, you will have to post all your activities that you plan to do at the meeting on your agenda. There are a couple narrow exceptions to it. You have to then post the agenda on the internet, post it in Borough Hall, and have them copies of the agenda available to the public. Our agenda is pretty detailed anyway, and we very seldom vary from it, but
it'll be very difficult to do so in the future.
No, we'll just list everything, even if they're not planning on voting on it. I mean, that's going to be the approach.
And we can no
is-
longer have a line that says items not on the agenda where you can bring it up, but can you bring it up but not vote on it?
No.
You can't even discuss it.
There are
no
some,
discussion.
there are some exceptions that as we learn a little bit and get some reviews on it, you can do, but
There are basically
what,
four exceptions.
what I'll tell you is what's going to happen is your agenda is going to look much larger. Because if there's even an outside chance that you could possibly vote on a matter, we're going to put it on your agenda. So your agenda is going to look super inflated moving forward.
Does it have to be specific? Can you just write like personnel for a line item?
You'd have to write like personnel ambulance employee.
Oh, boy.
It does have to be specific, fairly specific.
Well, we always have if we miss something during a committee meeting, we do always have the default meeting before council meeting, but we still would need to post that 24 hours in advance, correct?
Well, so for example, today we put the solicitor vote on the agenda, but I put in your notes, look, if we don't have the interviews done, or if we're not comfortable with making a recommendation, then you just won't vote on it. I would foresee more of that going on in the future, where you would be safe by putting it on your agenda. So it's on the agenda. That way, if you decide to vote on it, for example, Mr. Hart's agenda tonight has an item on there that I don't think we have any intention on voting on tonight. But there was a possibility, because he said it in June, that we would deal with it in July. It would now stay on that agenda just in case council was going to vote on it. I foresee that's it's going to inflate what your agendas look like. I think we are well ahead of the curve, and we do a very good job in making sure that our agenda items are posted. I think it's very few items that you guys deal with where you vote on something that wasn't necessarily posted on the agenda. And normally what that is a citizen comes to the table, in communications or something, and you need to deal with it because it's going to happen 22 days from now and your next meeting's not for 30 days. Well, now we're going to have to deal with it a different way. But outside of that, I think we're well ahead of these other municipalities. And this really stems from municipalities that do a 5-line agenda. And that's all you see. And they have a 4-hour meeting voting on things. I mean, that's what this whole thing came out of, is municipalities hiding things. And I would say that we are not one of those municipalities. We do all of our business out in the open.
I agree. Anything else, Mr.
That I
Solicitor?
report progress.
Thank you. Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. Under new business, we have ordinance 1212. An ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending chapter 15, subsection 107, entitled Use of the Streets by Processions and Assemblances, requiring permits for gatherings in Emmaus and providing for penalties and enforcement. This will be the first reading. We had this last meeting, but it got cleaned up a little bit, and I must say, it's much better. I find it much easier to follow. The form that they have to fill out is much better. Anyhow, with that being said, I will not be supporting it because I just don't think we need it. In 26 years of being in the borough, I've only seen 2 gatherings, and I just don't think it's necessary at this time. But the way it's written, I think is perfect. So with that being said, is there somebody that would like to make a motion?
Well, I would simply just ask, since it came out of Mrs. McManaman's committee, if maybe she has the opportunity to speak to the ordinance and why it was drafted.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pepe and Mr. President. So CRD has been working on this large gathering ordinance. Our impetus was that an event with 50 or more people have the right resources. So our solicitor did look at the draft, and as Mr. President said, the committee reviewed the changes from that end, and we made some minor grammatical corrections. We'd like to be clear, though, the purpose of this ordinance is not to make gatherings more difficult to hold. Well, that's not what we're saying at all. It's to help us with the nuances covering some of the instances as an organized event, such as possibly street closure for safety, police security, barricades and trash, permitting for vendors selling materials, items that can come up and can't be addressed on the spot. So we understand very well first right First Amendment rights and feel this ordinance covers all of the liabilities and resources that may be needed by us as well as the organizers. Our goal was to include and provide all the information for large gatherings so organizers receive approval. We do feel that this is going to be happening more and more, not just with protests or just for people gathering. And we, I think, have started seeing some instances on this. So I do hope that that answers some of the questions. If anyone has any other questions, we certainly.
Does
Can-
anybody have a question for Councilwoman McManaman? Councilwoman Baumgartner?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. So I'm on this CRD committee, and I will say that of the three of us, I was the most hesitant to support it. We did go around with discussions and revisions and more discussions and more revisions. And at this point, the way it currently is, I'm comfortable with it. And the intention behind it was essentially to make sure that businesses, there was a concern about businesses that might be affected by large events that they weren't prepared for. So just kind of establishing something to communicate that something's happening. So there's an awareness is the main goal.
I totally understand the premise of the whole ordinance, but I just kind of disagree with it because, you know, most protests are spontaneous. They don't say, okay, let's plan this protest in 4 weeks from now. I just don't think that's the way it is. At Boston Tea Party, that sure as hell didn't happen that way. So anyhow, Councilman Anders.
Excuse me. I don't know if, there we go. The only thing that I would say is this isn't just regarding protests. Like, we could have different events that previously were not covered. And that was part of the thought process behind this. So this gives us not only, you could say protest, but any type of gathering, or
Well, we have an event form for that.
we have an event for some things, but it does not cover everything. And this actually fills that gap that we were missing.
Okay,
That's why
I'll
was in
disagree to
favor of it.
disagree, but that's fine. Any other comments? Councilwoman
I
Baumgartner.
just wanted to clarify that this ordinance does not apply to spur of the moment gatherings. So if there's, say, a candlelight vigil as a result of the loss of somebody, and that were to happen, this isn't for that sort of situation. It's only for something that's planned in advance.
Who determines that?
I can tell you that the numerous events that we had on the Triangle this year were planned well in advance.
All right, does somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1212 for first reading?
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1212 first reading.
Motion by Councilwoman McManaman, seconded by Councilman Anders. Any more discussion? This is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner,
Aye.
Councilman Anders,
Aye.
Councilman Layberg, no. Councilman Balliet,
Aye.
Councilman Hart.
Aye.
It's a 6-1 with Councilman Layberg, no. Second reading will be August meeting? All right. Unfinished business part 2, there is nothing. Items not on the agenda. Anyone have anything to bring forward? It's probably the last time we can do that, huh? All right. Do we want to make a motion to remove that from the agenda?
Well, I think you have one more time, but I'm not sure that you've ever, in the 9.5 years I've been here, I don't
It's
know that
been-
we've,
It's been a few times.
yeah, I don't know that we've had more than once or twice on that one.
So, all right, mayor's report.
Thank you. On your iPads this evening is Proclamation 2021-515, Mass Pennsylvania Founders Day, July 30th, here and after. Whereas on July 30th of 1747, 44 individuals established a Moravian congregation that evolved into a democratic community, later to be named and known as Emmaus. And whereas this community continued to develop and care for its citizens and encourage its growth. And whereas in 1759, the first home was established in the community. And whereas the Emmaus Heritage Alliance educates the population and celebrates the history and development of our community and desires that the community be aware of its evolution. Now therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of Emmaus, proclaim July 30th of each year here henceforth as a special day to show appreciation of the settlers in 1747 who established a Moravian congregation of 44 people that evolved into the village of Emmaus, Pennsylvania, which we enjoy and govern. Let this day of each year, hereinafter, be celebrated of the legacy of Emmaus. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the Borough of Emmaus, Pennsylvania to be affixed this 19th day of July, 2021. No, one more item. Just a reminder, we're having an open house in conjunction with National Night Out, August 3rd. Come dunk members of Borough Council and members of the Police Department. Listen to tunes provided by DJ Dutch. Buy a hot dog from Good Dogs Hot Dogs or lemonade from Macungie Mountain Farm or Herb Farm stand. And also today I got confirmation that Rita's will be here as well. So come on out, take a tour of the department, watch a canine demonstration, meet members of the library as well as the Arts Commission, and have a good time. Progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman Anders.
We did not meet this month. We will be meeting August 11th, and with that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee Chairman Balliet.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have Resolution 2021-31, and it is a resolution to conditionally approve the revised preliminary final land development plans for Phoebe. And tonight we have our engineer here who will explain some of the small changes they made. I will make note that this went through the Planning Commission with a 4-0 vote, and I will make my recommendation after our discussion.
Yeah, they also have Phoebe also has a representative, and I'll actually allow
Is that
them to-
Mr. Bubba there?
Yeah.
Booba?
Lisa
Sorry.
Lisa
And Lisa
Fischera
Fischera.
and Joe Booba.
Can-
Your volume is not on, guys. So I don't know if you dialed in.
Can I just make a comment here? Mrs. Lisa Fisher, that's in that photo there. She's the one who interviewed me 33 and 3 months ago to work at Phoebe Home.
Yeah.
So, hi, Lisa.
Hi, Brett. It's good to see you. Can you hear us now?
Sound
We can
great.
hear you. Yes. So
Good.
I would say let's ask Jason Bukta to go over the plans a little bit, and then if there's comments from Phoebe or our solicitor, then we can have you guys vote on it.
All right, thank you. Before you is the updated preliminary final land development and lot consolidation plan for Chestnut Ridge at Rodale. The plan was previously granted approval at the Borough Council meeting on June 17th, 2019, per resolution number 2019-26, approving the preliminary/final lot consolidation plan and the preliminary/final land development plan. The previous 9 requested waivers from the Borough Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance were also granted at that same Borough Council meeting. And the solicitor can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that those 9 waiver requests do not need to be acted upon again. Okay. The changes are minor in respect to the overall development, with some changes to the patio areas and a slight reconfiguration to the existing parking lot with the addition of covered parking spaces. The comments noted in our review letter are mainly related to drafting items, and I'd like to note that there is a reduction in impervious coverage as compared to the previously approved plans.
Okay. I guess Mr. Booba, do you have any comments on the resolution?
No, I don't have any comments specifically on the resolution. I think Jason summarized where we are. I don't know if you would, if you want to entertain a motion, and then just for clarification purposes, if we can talk about the recreation fee or dedication of land, or if you'd like us to talk about that in advance.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at the planning commission meeting, Mr. Dinkelhocker noted the conditions and specifically addressed the recreation fee or dedication of land. And so I thought we could talk about a couple different components of this, and then you could provide us with your views on how that's going to be quantified. So as you know, if each, there's 126 independent living units within this building. And if each of those were considered a dwelling unit, more on that in a minute, I believe Phoebe would be asked to dedicate 1,100 square feet per dwelling unit, and or $1,000, not and or $1,000 per dwelling unit. Mr. Dimick and Mr. Pepe, is that correct? Is my math and the reading of the ordinance correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, so with that in mind, I wanted to make a few high notes. First, Phoebe absolutely is going to contribute. They want to be a good neighbor. They're new to the borough and they have and they will participate. We just want to have some understanding where we are. So I think everybody will remember that Phoebe was prepared to dedicate the trail, but the borough did not want an actual dedication of the trail. And so there will be an easement. As part of that, Phoebe was asked to enhance a couple of the entrances so that the community could get to the trail and utilize it a bit more easily. Phoebe's prepared at the top of the campus where 10th Street is. Currently, that is being used by youth groups for soccer practice. It's where the baseball field is shown. Phoebe's prepared to dedicate and or if dedication's not wanted, maintain that area and continue to allow youth groups and others to use that, and perhaps at the same time even further enhance those entrances with a larger vestibule type of model where there could be benches, etc., as people enter the Phoebe campus and use it for community purposes. Secondly, I want to remind everyone of Phoebe's work across the street with JuxtaHub on the Phoebe campus. Phoebe, among other items, has agreed to absorb the cost that JuxtaHub will be charged with for ADA compliance, elevators, HVAC. I'm sorry, one half of the cost, up to $200,000. Elevators, entranceways, etc. And those upgrades are for JuxtaHub's and the community's benefit. It may not seem like recreation as we all know it, but it is certainly recreation, and it is a partnership between Phoebe, where Phoebe is allowing the use of not only its land, but actually its buildings, which seems to be maybe even a dedication on steroids in that where people are using buildings. And last, two things. If you look at section 22.511.3, the recreation fee or the dedication is waived in instances where a planned residential development is being proposed. And I realize this is not a planned residential development. I'm not certain the borough has done a PRD yet. But if you think about that, in a planned residential development, a developer, rather than using up each acre of his or her land for homes, and thus having the people nowhere to recreate, in a PRD, by its very nature, you're creating recreational space for at least those residents and maybe more. And so, given the fact that Phoebe has a campus, it is creating significant recreational areas, not only for its residents, but also for the community. This is not like a developer placing 126 single-family homes in Emmaus with the commensurate impact on recreational facilities. So in that sense, I think this type of dwelling unit might be closer to a dwelling unit in a PRD than a dwelling unit in a single-family home. So as I said, with all of that said, we are not asking for a waiver. We're not asking for forgiveness. We're simply saying that there's some moving parts, and we'd like to work with the borough in working through that process. And we're not exactly certain if you wanted to do that tonight, or if a condition would be a discussion of rec fees or rec contribution being resolved as a condition to the building permits, which is when that dedication or payment would occur.
So, council, I would advise that you don't decide that tonight. I do want to briefly respond, and thank you, Mr. Buba, for the details on that. I'll tell you, the Planning Commission and those of us at the borough, when talking about the recreation fees for this facility, the plan was that they would go to improving the park that is immediately across the road from the complex. In particular, as you know, there's not a pavilion anymore that would benefit their residents. There's also concerns with the dam and examining that and making some improvements there would benefit their residents as well as the rest of the residents in the borough. So our initial thought process was that the recreation fees would go towards Furnace Dam Park. At no point have we had any discussion on that baseball field or soccer field. And quite honestly, I'm not sure you want to inherit possession or ownership of yet another field in the borough, as that's costs that will go to you. Although it may be something that you want to consider, but I think that's a much more detailed discussion than at 7:45, on the night of your council meeting. So I would say it's up to you, but I wouldn't take action on any of that this evening.
I don't want to debate it here on the floor because there's 7 council members, 2 of whom are not here. And I'm sure there's 7 different thoughts on this. So we will address this at the committee level. And does it have to be a part of this? It's not a part of this vote tonight. So this, Mr. Buba, I'm going to assign this to a committee and we'll address it at committee level where we can have a full discussion on it.
Where do you?
That's fine with us.
Normally it would be his committee. Yeah, but normally it would be health, sanitation, and codes, but it's a park thing, so. I think it needs to be dealt with sooner than later, though. I think Jen Ad probably needs to.
Okay, I'm going to assign it to the General Administration Committee, which is my committee. And we meet this Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, with that being said, would somebody like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-31?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Balliet. Is there a second? Councilman Hart, any more discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? There are 7 ayes. Resolution
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need Lisa or a representative at that committee meeting?
I would think at this point, probably no.
Joe, I'll reach out to you. I'm not sure that the meeting is actually This Thursday.
Yeah,
I don't
because we
believe
have
it is
interviews,
this-
I think.
Yeah, I don't believe it is this Thursday, but I'll
Okay.
reach out to you and let you
Okay.
know.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank
All
you.
right, good night.
Good night.
Mr. President, we have not had a meeting since our last meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 28th at 4:45 on Zoom. And with that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
We have nothing for official action. You can look in your meeting minutes. I'll entertain any questions if you have them. Otherwise, I report progress. Our next meeting will be August 3rd at 4:45 PM via Zoom. Progress.
Thank you. I am going to push the Public Safety Committee by Shane's request to the bottom of the agenda. So we're moving to General Administration Committee, which is myself. We have the construction manager as an agent. We had 3 applicants that were interviewed, and I think there is a proposal for, is it D High? D High?
Dewey. It's actually Dewey.
Dewey?
Yeah, it's Dewey.
I was thinking, GUY is guy, so it would be high, but all right. I was not present. I was away on vacation. With that being said, I wanted to say last Thursday, there were multiple interviews that took 5.5 hours, I believe. And then they met this morning and interviewed for another and discussed for another 2.5. And I want to personally thank Councilman Balliet filling in for me. That's almost 8 hours they put in. And also the committee and Shane for arranging for all that. So I just want to thank everyone. This is far and beyond what we're used to doing. And you guys, I appreciate it. Thank you. With that being said, I'll turn it over to somebody in the committee that would like to, or Shane.
Yeah, so I'll get started. I see Christine Carl is also in attendance from W2A. We interviewed 3 firms for the construction management as an agent, and the 3 firms were all 3 very well qualified, very highly qualified. All 3 have a lot of experience in this realm. And quite honestly, I don't know that we would have gone wrong with any of the 3. The committee interviewed, and W2A was also present, as was Michael Gibson, the chairman of our planning commission. So we had what I would say is a comprehensive committee interviewing these firms. And Dewey Engineering is a firm that I would say rose to the top out of the 3 for a number of different reasons. One thing is, I think their level of technology and the way that they're approaching the job is something that the committee was very impressed with. They also negotiated their price with us. I negotiated, I think, a $30,000 decrease in their proposal. But I think that the committee's real impression of them was that they can come in here at a high level and monitor the work and keep us in the loop every step of the way because of the different inspection technology that they use, the different reporting technology that they use. We would have instant access to it, and the format of which they were doing the work is something that I think was very very impressive. So I would turn it over to the 3 members of the committee for any other comments, or for that matter, Mrs. Carl, I know, is on the line as well.
I'll just speak to the fact that I found their processes very efficient and clear, and I felt confident that they would communicate throughout the process and we would have transparency during the construction process. So I think we were all in agreement unanimously for this choice, and we're pretty confident with this final decision.
Thank you.
And what-
Councilman Valley, any comments?
Chris wants.
Oh, Councilman Dufresne, go ahead.
What I would add is they're the ones I was the least familiar with going into this process, and they certainly won me over during their interview process. It was quite impressive what they talked about and showed us. And then on top of that, having Michael present, Gibson present for the interviews, obviously he knows that environment and he knows that company. So then to be able to hear, somebody in that industry essentially say, yes, they have a good reputation on top of it and it's familiar with them, but they definitely wowed me in the interview. And I was completely unaware of them prior to that interview.
Thank you. Councilman Balliet?
Mr. President, I'm not going to repeat all of the things that they said. I would agree. I'm going to put a motion to appoint Dewey as our construction manager.
There's a motion by Councilman Balliet. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Things are falling into place.
So, okay, so I'll do the next one. As you're all aware, the gentleman beside me is retiring from his, and I'm not talking about you, Brent. I'm talking about Solicitor Dimick is retiring from his post as our borough solicitor, regretfully, we've had to go through the process to search for another solicitor, and we had 4 firms who put in for the position, and all 4 firms I think are very good firms, all in their own right. The committee spent a lot of time in interviews, and what we found was there was one firm that stuck out way above the others in terms of municipal experience, in terms of availability of municipal solicitors, and in terms of what the demand of our workload is. And that was a big factor too. We had, I think, one of the candidates was very highly qualified, but we felt that the workload that we would be putting on that candidate is probably more than what he would be able to handle, unfortunately. Not that we wouldn't want him to be our solicitor. But at the end of the day, the committee unanimously felt that, and I put it in your iPads. They unanimously felt that Gross McGinley was the best candidate to fit the borough's needs. They have the right amount of expertise. They have a municipal team, and we feel they would be a very good match for the borough.
Do we have to state their rate in the motion? I think in the past we have.
Yeah.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve Gross McGinley for our new solicitor at I believe it's at a rate of $155 per hour?
I'll make the motion, Brent.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
I abstain. Just for the record, my daughter, Sarah Hart-Charette, is a partner in Gross McGinley. Sarah does criminal law and medical malpractice, defense law. So unless Mr. Pepe is going to be incarcerated, we will never see her here. But nonetheless, I will abstain from the vote.
He may not be able to afford her. All right. So there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Yeah. So with that abstention, just to be on the record with Mr. Hart, Mr. Hart was not part of the process. Mr. Hart was unaware until this afternoon that this was the firm that we were going with. So moving forward, so we spoke with Gross McGinley of potential conflicts. We spoke with every firm regarding potential conflicts, especially since most of these firms have clients, in the borough. And the one thing that they made very clear was that Mr. Hart's daughter would not be part or would not have access to any of the borough work, and vice versa. Mr. Hart would not be able to call his daughter and find out what's going on with things. They actually have things in place to prevent access for their attorneys that might have those conflicts. In addition to that, Mr. Hart will be able to vote on matters dealing with the solicitor in terms of approval of the bills, and the normal course of business with the borough solicitor moving forward. Because his daughter does not and will not make money off of the work that the borough is doing. So there's no direct conflict of interest there. So I just wanted to put that out there and let you know that that was part of the conversation that we had with that firm this morning as we were interviewing them.
All right, that's good to know. That's it for what I have. There's 2 sets of meeting minutes from July 1st and the July 15th. Our next meeting is August 12th at 9 a.m. And with that, I report progress, Budget and Finance Committee.
Mr. President, Mr. President, 1 second. Shane, don't we have to do Jeff Dimick as an alternate?
Yeah, we did have one more thing, and I apologize.
Okay. Is there a
so-
motion to make Jeffrey Dimmitt alternate solicitor?
So moved.
Councilman Anders, seconded by Councilman Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 7 ayes. Thank you, Chris.
You said
welcome.
Roy and John, is that right?
Yes. And it was 7-0. He's
Yeah.
not.
So we're not letting him ride completely
giving
into
away
the
that-
sunset. No.
All right, and like I said, our next meeting is August 12th at 9 a.m. Progress, Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. President. You can see in there the quarterly budget summary and the significant revenue and expenses. We do have one resolution here. It's Resolution 2021-32, resolved by the Borough Council to authorize the payment of the July 19th, 2021 bill list as follows. Bill list $613,054, payrolls 13 and 14, $358,254.81. Payroll taxes $114,093.50 for a total of $1,085,402.38 done this 19th of July 2021, and I'll place that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
And you can see the meeting minutes there, and our next meeting is August 12th at 11 a.m. and I report progress.
Thank you. I just want to point out, I did look over the budget, the quarterly report, and we're looking pretty good for earned income and real estate. We're I think 9% on earned income, and the real estate's looking really good too. And that could be even better the second half. So that's going to help us out a little bit. All right, going back now, we're going to Public Safety Committee, Chairman
We
Hart.
still have CRD.
I apologize, Terry. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Thank you, Mr. President. We already addressed our one item on the agenda for this evening in the first reading of the large gathering ordinance. So please refer to our last committee meeting notes and let me know now if you have any questions. Our next meeting is August 9th at 4:30 p.m. I report progress.
Thank you. Now, Public Safety Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you can see, I have a number of items for your consideration this evening. And if it's all right, I will move around on the agenda there to accommodate what I think will be an executive session. Resolution 2021-30, the ongoing saga concerning our traffic signal.
Can you hear all right, Chris?
I can hear him. It's soft, but I can hear him.
I'll move in closer. How's that?
Much, much better.
Okay, I'm sitting at your seat now, Chris.
I see that.
Your microphone's better. We made one small change to that, and because it's on a PennDOT highway, they required us to fill out a form and get a council approval through the motion that is attached. So with that, I'll recommend approval of resolution 2021-30, the PennDOT application for.
Motion by Councilman Hart, seconded
I'd
by
like to second.
Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion?
I think this is a great addition to downtown. Only hope it makes it a much safer intersection for our residents to get back and forth on.
And so I would like, obviously use this as a little bit of a test, but it would be something to look at on Fifth Street. in Chestnut as well. I think that that is really a spot where this might be, no, Fifth down by
Everyone's
the
walking
church
over
and-
to the
yeah.
breweries.
Yeah. I think that might be an advantageous area to do it.
Be wonderful to give this a period of testing and see how
Yeah.
it's working.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, there are 7 ayes.
As a result of Chief Shantz and also Deputy Chief Apgar receiving promotions, they are out of the civil service coverage. However, they have an opportunity to participate, and both were afforded that opportunity to obtain civil service protection through a non-competitive civil service process. Both officers successfully completed the examination process, and the Civil Service Commission has recommended to Borough Council to certify both individuals according to the civil service rules and procedures. I have 2 motions. First motion is to certify Police Chief Troy Shantz for the civil service protection.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman McManaman? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
The second motion is a motion to certify Deputy Chief of Police Jason Apgar for civil service protection.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
With the president's approval, I'm going to skip over the police sergeant
That's fine.
promotions and go to police accreditation. This is what Mr. Pepe was referring to earlier. This is an action that really cannot take place until at least tomorrow evening when we receive final approval for our successful accreditation. So there is no action on this tonight. We'll have to accept it next month.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Which leads us to your last item on the agenda.
Well, there's 2. Actually, there's a fire department quarterly report and a ambulance quarterly report. If you did read the fire report, you'll see that we're basically flat as far as number of calls, with the exception of rescue and EMS. Recall that because we do not have a second ambulance at this point in time, they are doing what other departments are doing. They're going along on these pickups by the ambulance group. So we're up to 281 for the month in rescue and EMS, but actual fires are flat over last ambulance, same thing on ambulances. The number of calls has increased slightly over 2020 to 496 from 433, down from the 630 from the previous 2 years. It's worth noting, and hopefully we'll see an increase in that, especially with our new ambulance chief coming on board. So I'll stop there and ask if there are any questions before I move on to the police.
Any
sergeant.
questions for Councilman Hart?
So we're going to ask for you to go into executive session for the next piece.
All right, I'll ask that we'll remain here. We'll ask that you just leave for a short, I don't think this is going to be very long, but we'll also have to take our virtual guest off except
Okay.
for our 2
Well,
council members.
so there's, I mean, so matter of procedure, we could go through the rest of the meeting and then come back to it. Could we do that?
We could.
So we could go through the rest of the meeting and then come back to it, if or go through executive session right now.
Well, there's
no
not
matter
much,
what we're coming
there's not
back.
much more of the meeting left, so I prefer to just do it now.
Okay.
So at this time, what do you just mute them, the virtual guests?
I'm going to put them into the waiting room.
So at this time, we're going to go executive session at 8 o'clock with the intention of making a decision on personnel, correct?
Correct.
All right.
All right, so we're going to pause.
Reconvening from executive session at 8:44. We will be making some decisions, and I'll turn it back over to Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the full input of the entire council, recommendations were made for 2 appointments to the sergeant position. The first position is for Adam Polster, and the second position is for Adam Knobloch. If no one has an objection, I put those both in the form.
I would ask you to do them individually. There's a seniority reason
Got
to
it.
do them
Thank you.
individually.
All right, so my first motion would be to appoint Adam Polster to the sergeant position in the police department.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second?
Second,
Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion?
Just, can we add, he has to successfully complete a year of probation?
Will you adjust your motion?
Yes.
A second, adjust your second to include 1 year of probation?
yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? There are 7 ayes.
Second recommendation is to appoint Adam Knobloch to the position of sergeant in the police department, pending his successful completion of a probationary period of 1 year.
Motion by Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Balliet. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Anything else on your agenda?
I do not have anything else on the agenda. Our next meeting is August the 9th at 9:15 a.m. I'll report progress.
That was a John Hart show tonight.
Thank you.
I was afraid Chris wasn't going to be around. I have to do finance.
We have no junior council member anymore. That probably can be removed until we maybe have that again. There's 5 various board and commission meeting minutes. Personal appeals part 2. We have no one in our audience except virtual. So if anyone has a virtual,
Yeah, we got it.
just please state your name, and we see you, Lynn. Just give us a second. State your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal.
Can you hear me first of all?
Yeah.
Sound great.
Hello,
Okay,
Lynn.
Great, thanks. So my name is Lynn Donchis and I live at 559 Minor Street in Emmaus. I was pleased that Act 65 of the open meetings passage was mentioned during the solicitor report. And I agree with the comments that Emmaus does a good job of, some better than other entities, about the openness of meetings. However, the agendas of the committee meetings have not been previously posted 24 hours in advance. And so I was happy to, and I'm asking for clarification that these committee meetings going forward will be part of this act and that the agendas will be posted on the website 24 hours in advance.
So the act does not specify that committees have to have their agendas posted, but that's something that Borough Council can discuss as a matter of policy. The problem is once again, you do that and you want to abide by that. That means something comes up that morning, you're not talking about it. And as you are all aware, especially things like public safety, public works, your department manager or myself are determining your agendas. You guys have not determined many of your agendas as a whole in many years because it's your departments that are participating. And John, while you're laughing, it's true. Yeah, you set an agenda, but they come to you with how many dozens of things at every meeting. So the problem that you're going to have is if you expect them, your department managers, to give you an agenda so that I can post it online 24 hours before your committee meeting, good luck getting things done.
Can we-
That's the concern that you're going to have with
Can
it.
we just put an agenda of the items we do know we're going to talk about, and then have a line where items not on the agenda, and we can bring stuff forward then. But at least people, the public will know
Well,
the things we definitely are going to
that's
talk
fine,
about.
but you're asking for more layers here,
I
and
know,
we can
I
do it.
know.
But that means you're creating a general administration committee meeting agenda.
Yeah.
That means you're going to be posting your agendas, and I'm going to teach you how to go online and post your agenda, because I'm not adding more to my secretaries.
But I'm reading in the act, it says the agency is the body and all committees thereof authorized by the body to take official action. So wouldn't that dictate that the committee?
Committees only make recommendations to the official body. The official body takes the official action.
True, but
But nonetheless, that's what we have a lawyer for, to give us that determination.
okay. The other thing was I was going to say on the agenda, even though you noted that it would be expanded because just about everything would be listed that you're talking about. So maybe even practically everything from the committee would go on to the formal agenda. I don't know. But anyway, that's not a bad idea. In the past, there were lists of things being discussed at the committee level. And those things that were being voted on that evening were highlighted in bold. But then the things that were not
So when
highlighted.
I started here though, Lynn, I mean, yeah, we kept the same thing on an agenda for 11 months at a time and didn't talk about it for 11 months at a time. I mean, and so I know that Mayor Gilbert is the one that said, you know what, it's time to get this stuff off here. If we're not dealing with it in a council meeting, why is it sitting there on a council agenda for 11 months at a time? It was wasteful. Quite honestly, it was a farce. And so what you see on the agenda is what we're really dealing with right now. The other thing is they never did committee notes and committee minutes. Never. That's something that they didn't have. We have them. They're public information. That's not something they would do. So I think
And that was
the
a
process has
question.
definitely changed over the years.
That was a question I had too, and I think I'm missing it. Are the committee meetings posted on the website?
They're not.
Okay, so that would be my appeal, is that the committee meetings be posted on the website along with all the other minutes, so that right to knows aren't required to get the committee meetings. So, thank you for your time.
We'll address this at the committee level before we commit to anything, Lynn.
Sure, I
And
understand.
you can have more input there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just glad it was brought up.
I think posting the committee meeting minutes may not be that bad of an idea, but we'll have to proceed, how that works out, so. No, I know. All right. So any other public appeals? All right, hearing none. All right, that leads us to Borough Manager's report.
So Matthew Bockert, who has been sitting here for 2 hours, is a full-time public works employee who has earned his way to be promoted to Class 3 according to the Emmaus Public Works union contract. And I'm sure Matt's not here for entertainment reasons, although he very well could have been entertained tonight. But Matt is very much deserving to be bumped up to Class 3 per the requirements of the union contract. That would be effective immediately. He has met the requirements to be able to do the basic equipment operation that's required within the union contract, as well as the other skills that are required within that section. I would hope that Matthew is going to be working very soon to earn his Class 4 certification and get the next level of pay increase and promotion. So With that said, I would ask, and so council's aware, the contract states that, you do need to approve it.
All right, is there a motion to approve Matt Bacher to Class 3 in Public Works? Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Anders. Discussion, I just want to say congratulations, Matt. And hopefully you get to Class 4 soon. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, I hired Sean Laird as a lifeguard. If any of you are looking for a job, hiring more lifeguards. I'll tell you, one of the concerns that we have is the college age students are going to be leaving soon. And so that is going to put a pinch on us at the end of summer. And if we don't have the appropriate staffing, that means we're going to have to reduce the number of hours at the pool. And that's what you end up getting there in that case. We have been fortunate. We have had adequate staffing, albeit close on some days, but we have had adequate staffing throughout the summer. We've also done some cleanup on our department rosters. You see Tyler Schmeltzley has resigned from the fire department. David Rittenauer has also resigned, and Joshua David resigned from the ambulance department. I also hired Amanda Achenbach as a part-time EMT, and I just want to make a quick mention because it's one of those proud moments of a program that you decided a couple years ago to invest money and effort in after a long debate at budget time as to whether or not this is something we thought would be a program that would be fruitful for us. And so Amanda is the first graduate from our Explorer program who, as a high school student, volunteered, went through the Explorer program, quickly progressed, did very well. She got her EMT certification through Citronia. And as the chief said, she quickly rose to the top. And I'm very excited with the fact that this program very early has shown that it can be worth its investment. Amanda, her plan is to go to nursing school, and she is entering nursing school in the fall. So she's a recent high school graduate, and she'll be going to Cedar Crest. And her goal will be to continue working in the evenings as well as on the weekends, and then during winter and summer break until she starts doing, I would say the more intense hospital type of work. But then during summer and winter break, she'll also work for us. So once the program gets going, I would imagine that's going to greatly decrease for her. But very excited to have Amanda and be able to say that we've hired our first graduate from our Explorer program. So congratulations to her. I also hired Sarah Hoke for the concession stand. So those are the roster moves that we have made in the last couple days. You have a special meeting on August 9th, starting at 6 p.m. All of you should plan to be there in one shape, one form or another, whether it's Zoom or live. Okay. You're going to interview, it'll be the top 2 for the assistant borough manager position that evening. You will be interviewing one candidate while the department managers will be in the conference room interviewing the other candidate. And then you'll do a switch when you guys are finished with your first candidate. The department managers will interview the other
Is that
candidate.
a public meeting or is
It is a public meeting for the voting.
Oh, the interviews are
The
private.
interviews are private. It's a personnel. So if you make a vote to make a hiring that evening, then you'll do it in public. You could, and I would imagine you may not make the vote that evening. It might be a direct the borough manager to negotiate terms, and then the next week you would have your public vote. But that just depends on how the process goes.
Well, both of them, they're both going to be here publicly?
They will both be here physically.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. That is a requirement for the final round interview.
And on the 9th, are you gonna have department heads here as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the department managers will be over in the other room. And then they'll come over and give you their feedback from their observations in the interviews.
Will we be supplied any information ahead of time? about
You will be supplied the top two. You know what you get from me. You will get all of that. As a matter of fact, the General Administration Committee has received all of that information for the top five. And they interviewed this Thursday to narrow it down to the top two. So you will get 2 rounds of interview information plus full backgrounds on the individuals. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I won't report progress. I'm going on vacation on Sunday. And so you may be able to get a hold of me for the first 7 days, but I can assure you the second 7 days, I will not respond. So I will not be back in town until the 9th. Right. So, what's that? Yeah, knock on wood.
It is hurricane season.
Yeah. Well, maybe, if I go down, I want to go down quick. But I will be out of town for 2 weeks. All right. Like I said, I'll be able to respond in week 1, but in week 2, and I will definitely be out of touch. Thankfully. Now I'll report progress.
Thank you. Under President's business, I was talking about the budget report earlier, the quarterly one. And one thing I did want to point out, because since he mentioned the pool, the snack stand was at 50%, and this is as of June 30th, correct? That report ends on the 30th? The quarterly report?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
The pavilion rentals were at 128% already. Now, most people pay when they reserve it, but that's fantastic. And then also pool entrance fees was at 73%. Now we're talking June 30th. You know, the weather we had in the situation. So this, to me, this is exciting. So
But, and so we decreased expected revenue, so the percentages are probably inflated. But I would look at the overall revenue versus last year, or I would skip last year. I would look at the
Right.
overall revenue for 2019, and I would tell you that it is no doubt at least comparable to 2019, and probably if you look at day for day, we're probably above pace.
I'm just saying, I looked at it and I got excited because it's nice to see, because as a general rule, the pool has lost money. And the last several years, well, can't count last year, but we've been right there or a little above. So it's
And
just
one
nice
of the
to see.
things that you would have to question is how much money was lost as a result of not having our new system.
We'll never know, John.
No,
We'll
we
never
won't,
know.
but it's highly suspicious.
Yeah, but we do know it did save us money. We do know that.
Well, that system has brought a lot of accountability, a lot of, I would say, a lot of accountability, but also a lot of opportunity for us to look at inventories, look at demographics, pool passes, you name it. We've been able to track it, and it's really been helpful. And I think at the end of the season, it's going to help the Parks and Recs Committee plan for next season, and in the future as well. And the credit card system. It's amazing how many people are taking advantage of using credit cards at the pool, the pavilion rentals, and even in the snack stand. Despite the fact that they're the ones incurring the fee, they're still using it.
All right. Well, Shane, have a very good vacation. It's well deserved, and we appreciate what you do, and enjoy your family, and try to forget about this. All right. We know you can't turn a switch off, but by maybe the second week, you might get to that point for maybe an hour. All right. So enjoy yourself. With that, motion to adjourn. Councilman Hart, second by Councilman Dally. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Hey, enjoy the rest of your vacations, Terry and Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.